Welcome to the Burning Chair podcast with Simon Finney and Peter Oxley. Episode 1, Nanowrimo.
Welcome everyone to the first Burning Chair podcast. Pete, keep serious. So on this first podcast, we thought we'd do a little bit of an intro to us as a company and individuals, and then have a bit of a chat about Nanowrimo, which is going on at the moment. So, okay, Pete?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay, so Pete, why did you start Burning Chair?
Thanks. So, well, I've been self-publishing for quite a while. I think one of the things that became quite apparent to me over the years was there's a gap there in the market in terms of the way that traditional publishers do stuff, and the great stuff that self-publishers do stuff as well. And it's almost like they don't quite overlap as much as they maybe should. Yeah. And there's a lot of people who want to get all the benefits of self-publishing in terms of the marketing, the nimbleness, being able to get content out quicker than the 18-month schedules that a lot of the larger houses demand, and also take benefit from the larger royalties. But also the problem that you have if you're self-publishing is you're left to your own devices. You have to do everything yourself. You have to get your cover art designed and editing and all that stuff, and that can cost thousands of pounds. And and a lot of people don't have that resource or that inclination, to be fair. It was something which it never really consciously bubbled around in my mind. I think you and I had a chat, and we'd seen a podcast, and we kind of like had one too many drinks and just thought, hang on, was that?
That's right. And I think, you and I first started talking because I was writing a book and I'd written some short stories and was keen to publish. And then I realised that a lot of the activities that you've talked about, which writers traditionally hate doing, I, like a complete idiot, quite enjoy, and you enjoy doing some of it as well. So we thought, well, actually, could we offer this as a service to other writers and ourselves, really?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Look, going back to Burning Chair, so that's all good. That's kind of interesting. I don't want to bore too many people with that, and they can always look at our website if they want to know more about that. Let's talk Nanowrimo. Pete, what is it?
Nanowrimo is the National Novel Writing Month. So every November, lots of authors, thousands of authors all around the world get together, basically pledge to write a novel in the space of 1 month. And there's a website, nanowrimo.org, I think it is.
Yeah, .org.
And it's a free resource. They invite donations. I'm not sure if they're actually a charity, but they're certainly sort of charity. Yeah. The website's great because you can basically put on there and you can say, okay, well, here's my book. This is what I'm doing. This is how many words I've done. And it also has a little graph that shows you, okay, so this is what you've done so far. In order to hit to meet the target at the end of the month, you really should have done this by now. And what I looked like, I kind of
an annoying friend.
Absolutely, it's just. But you can link up with people as well on there, so you can join little leader groups, and you can. So there's a bit of competitive tension, which certainly. I know that you're not in the least bit competitive there, Simon. So you won't be interested.
Nature.
But I found I came across it, crikey, 2-3 years ago. So I did one. So my second full-length book, so Demon Inside, was done in Nanowrimo.
Is that available on Amazon, by the way?
That is available on Amazon and all good bookstores, yes, online and Ask,
and through the Burning Chair website? No, not.
Absolutely, yes. Okay. But
sorry, So you did your second book through Nanowrimo?
Yes. So I basically I'd had it planned out beforehand. Came across it. I think it was various self-publishing forums that I'm in, and one of them had mentioned about it. So I had a look and thought, okay, well, I've got it ready to go. Why not give it a try?
Yeah.
And I managed to, because I'm not in the least bit competitive, but I was there with other people in leaderboards and managed to smash it basically. So I think I did 18.
Left them in the dust, was that?
Yeah, basically. There's some annoying people who it starts on the 1st of November, and by the 2nd of November, they've written 90,000 words, and you're just like, no, you haven't. It's just like, don't even, But the target for Nanowrimo is to say 50,000 words in a month, which sounds like a hell of a lot, but when you break it down on a daily basis, you're looking at about 1,600 words, I think, something like that, if you were to write consistently every single day, which, if you really put your head down, it's not impossible to do, really. But I managed to do, I think it's about 80,000 words in that month. I mean, most of them were complete crap and I had to redo them, but at least I got a book down, which was, which is good.
One of the things that you advised me, which was really useful, it's very unusual, was Chris Fox's guide on writing 5,000 words an hour. And that is really good. And I'm going to massively paraphrase it and do him an injustice, but it's essentially about finding your spare time and your boundaries for that. And then just not editing, not passing judgment, just get it all out on paper and go back and edit it afterwards. And that way you do keep the momentum and keep the flow of ideas going, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah. And he also says one of the things he says is keep a log of what you're writing. So how many words in a sprint? So do a sprint of half an hour, say, and keep a record of how many words you've written in that half an hour on a spreadsheet. And then the next time you do it, try to beat that. And it's that keeping yourself to account. And before you know it, I mean, first of all, you are constantly competing against yourself. So, okay, so that first half an hour wrote 500 words, 510, whatever. Yeah. But also, it's before you know it, you total it up and you're like, wow, I've just written 20,000 words. Where did that come from?
That's right.
But also, a great ninja tip for that side of things is there is I love it, but it's also quite scary, is there's an app that you can get on, I think it's on PC and Mac, I think, which is called Write or Die. writeordie.com, and it's brilliant. It's basically it forces you, so it's just all that's there is just a screen. You type, but you can set certain things where you say, okay, so I'm going to write for 30 minutes, and you either set a target of I want to achieve so many words or whatever it is. But if you slow down or stop, so if you suddenly pause to have a look on Facebook, you can set penalties, and some of them are just your screen flashes red, or spiders start crawling across your screen, or there's a kamikaze mode, which I've not been brave enough to do, where it will basically delete random words in what you've written. But it's genius. It's absolute genius. But even just having a red flashing screen and the kind of bat 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 noise, it's just
Yeah.
So
I think the concern that some people would have is that just quantity of words over quality? However, I do think that you get to a point where it's like any muscle, okay, which the more and more you develop it, the better the less you have to go back and edit, because you think to yourself when you do it, and it's important not just to keep doing that, it's to go back and edit it at some point and learn the lessons that you need to make. And so that when you do go through, you can say, oh, right, yeah, okay. As I'm hammering it out, you tend to avoid using the same word, fantastic, over and over and over again. So there is a learning process that's required alongside it. But, you can't edit an empty page, as you and I often say.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, I think the key thing with any of these things is actually you've got to give yourself the permission to be crap. And the first draft, I mean, there are some people who say they turn out a perfect first draft and it's ready to go. And also, I think they're liars, personally, because there's maybe
they're not to be trusted, Pete.
Absolutely. But the amount of times I've written stuff and it's just like it's complete shite. But the main thing is you just keep on going, get it written down, and then you go back and change it.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, no, that's good. I watched a video with John Cleese, okay, and about creativity.
Well, you watched a video alongside John Cleese, or was he in the...
Yeah, he is an absolute scream. Right? He didn't quite understand that it wasn't VCR, that it would move digital.
Did he wear his trousers this time? Because
I watched this video on YouTube, which is an online video sharing platform, and about creativity. And he talks about creating a tortoise enclosure for yourself, and it's about boundaries of time and space. Because to be genuinely creative, you do need to not be interrupted kind of constantly. And that was really interesting for me as well, because it's, you and I are both busy. We're running, Burning Chair, and we're trying to write our own stuff at the same time. And you need to have the boundaries, don't you?
Yeah, No, it's totally true, and it's sorry, I'm just looking because my boundaries are being invaded at the moment by my dogs. Yeah, but it is true. It's kind of we've both got families and other stuff going on in our lives, and actually sometimes you almost need to be a bit selfish and say, look, and my wife tells me off for this constantly. Well, basically, I'll go off and shut myself away, and she'll tell me, and I'll make sure the kids aren't there. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, to be fair. But but it is that almost say, look, I'm going to take half an hour and just do this, or half a day or whatever it is. And being there.
No, it's good. No, anything else we want to talk about in terms of NaNoWriMo? I was impressed that. Have you ever read Wool? Right, okay, I can't pronounce this correctly. Wool.
Wool, yes, by Hugh Howey.
It comes from sheep.
Yeah,
it's a great book.
It's awesome.
Recommend that to anyone. Okay, and that's a NaNoWriMo book.
I didn't see. I saw because I saw you write something about that, and I did not realise that was. But that is an awesome book. It's a really awesome book. I've got on my Kindle. I've got Dust, the next one in that, which I've not read yet.
I didn't realise there was a sequel.
He's done it. Yeah, I think it's a prequel sequel. So it's a
prequel sequel.
Yes,
that's easy for you to say.
But he's and Hugh Howey is he's a legend. I think he's I saw a podcast with him a little while ago, and he was sat on a yacht somewhere, just kind of he's just
living the dream.
Living the dream, it's the way. But I guess the only other thing to say about NaNoWriMo is, so we're on the 7th of November now.
Yes.
7 days in. How's it going? How's it going, Simon?
My synopsis is highly polished.
It is a good synopsis.
Thank you. I've written, but the actual book itself, I've only written 3 pages.
Okay. That's good.
So what's that? 1,200 words. Okay. But I did spend overly long on the synopsis, so I fess up to that. But I am going to block out some days coming up, just to push on through.
So that answers my next question, which is: do you plot or do you pants? And clearly, plotting is plot. Yeah.
Do you know what? And the reason I say that is, as you know, my first novel, which is probably never will see the light of day, I pounced rather than plotted, and it's just taken me, well, here we are 18 months later and it's still not finished. So it takes too long for someone like me to pounce. I need to plot.
Yeah.
I don't really pounce, I trundle.
Fair enough.
Saunter.
Yeah.
Anyway, how's yours go? Right, so mine is called Splintered Eye, just to get it on the record. What's yours called, Pete?
Mine is called The Great Big Demon Hunting Agency, because awesome. I like long titles, and it's kind of so it's set in the world of my previous books, kind of Infernal Ether type ones. I'm half cheating on it in that it's been something I've been working on for a while, but I know. However, the first draft I did ages ago kind of came to about 30,000 words and was complete shite, basically. Yeah. Are we allowed to swear on this one?
Well, we weren't going to, Pete.
We are now. Okay.
Apologies to our more sensitive audience members.
So I've but the problem is with, so there was something there. However, I've almost overthought it for too long. So now it's almost stripping it back to first principles. And yes, there are bits I can borrow and go back. So I made a start. I think I'm about 3,000 words, something like that. I've got it up on NaNoWriMo. I suppose we should say that if anyone wants to friend us on NaNoWriMo, then they should absolutely do that. But what I particularly loved about the dashboard on NaNoWriMo was, so as I said, it has that little the line graph with the trend thing saying this is what you need to do to hit it, and all different stats. And mine said, so you will, at this rate, lovely passive aggressive stuff, at this rate, you will finish your book on, it was something like 29th of January 2019. It's like, yeah, thanks for that.
Thanks very much. You'll finish this when you're 60.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So but I'm kind of I think similar to you, I spent a bit longer on the synopsis, so it kind of like, given that, because we've been working quite hard on the anthology, which is out now in all good bookstores. Yeah.
Nice. Do you mean the anthology.
Absolutely. So that kind of was a bit of a distraction in the lead up to this month. So I think we can forgive ourselves slightly for not being ready right on the starting block. But I think but that's going to be the challenge, isn't it? Really, is keeping that.
It's gonna be, and we'll provide. I've put a blog on it, and we'll provide updates on the blog. And it's all good. Yeah,
absolutely
good. Excellent. All right. Well, that's probably all we've got time for.
Yeah, sounds good.
Right. Sign off.
See you next time.
See you next time. Right.
You've been watching the Burning Chair podcast with Simon Finney and Peter Oxley. To find out more, visit us at www.burningchairpublishing.com.